Good morning. It is a Thursday. We're headed towards Friday, headed towards the weekend. We're headed towards cooler weather the next couple of days, not just for the Bay Area, Northern California, but Southern California, down into the desert Southwest. It's going to slowly cool. We have heat advisories, heat warnings, fire danger, a lot of watches and warnings, not just in the West, but out towards the Midwest as well, with some concerns for a lot of heat and fire as well. So we're talking about a cooling trend. Temperatures yesterday, pretty darn warm. Temperatures today, a bit cooler. And then by tomorrow, by Friday, noticeably lower temperature. So Redding yesterday Redding was in the low 100s. Today, Redding, California, Northern California, will be 95. And then tomorrow, Friday, Redding will be 80. So it's 15 degrees cooler. Fresno today, 98. Tomorrow, 87. Las Vegas today, 108. Tomorrow, 103. And LA drops from 81 today to 75 tomorrow. So it's a cooling trend, which is awesome. We haven't really had a big run of heat, like the red flag warning kind of day after day after day. It's early, but we're getting close to it. We've got a lot of, especially down towards Phoenix and Tucson. So today we're going to talk about cooling, breezy conditions in parts of the state, parts of the West Coast. We're going to talk about fire danger. We're going to talk about Venice, California. Right? And, and it's hot in the Southwest. Okay, the mechanism for cooling is this. You saw it right away, right? So there's the mechanism. We're going to draw on the jet stream. We're going to go, there's the ridge, there's the jet stream going underneath that, right? And then there's a little bit of, I kind of screwed that up. Let's go here, trough, here, trough, something like that. And this ridge in here is what's responsible for the heat in here. So when you look at this picture, this satellite loop, last 12 hours, you can easily see two areas of counterclockwise flow, right there and right there. Those are the driving systems right now. Those are aloft and at the surface, right? Aloft, it's the jet stream, that's the trough. There's the ridge, there's the trough. You see it clearly now. It's a good example. And then down here you had Hurricane Eric, which is going to fall apart quickly. That moisture from Hurricane Eric, sometimes when these hurricanes, especially down towards Mexico, fall apart, they push moisture up into our area, if you will, into the Southwest, off the Gulf of California and off the plate. But the models are not suggesting that. But that's a lot of moisture. So this moisture is going to go somewhere. And where it goes is where there's going to be a bunch of severe weather. So when there's a big hurricane down there, you go, okay, yeah, that's, it's cool because it's so far from us, but it's not cool because all that moisture has to go somewhere. By the way, one of my favorite things about weather is hurricanes. Not like I don't study them or anything. Well, I have studied them. But the Earth is a giant heat engine. And you know what hurricanes are? They're a way to balance out the heat. So you got the cold air to the north, the polar regions. You got the equator, the warm area. That's where the lower latitudes is where the hurricanes like to form. And what happens is this time of year, and especially as we get into August, September, the equator's really just getting pounded with heat. Well, nature's going, dude, we can't have this much heat here. We got to cool off. And so this is nature's way, the planet's way, of taking all that heat buildup and moving it north to equal out those temperatures. That's all it is. It's a heat engine. We talk about it all the time. But that hurricane energy is the equator saying, hey, it's too hot down here, man. We got to do something with all this extra heat. And that's what hurricanes are. And that's why they build up. So that's why they're so aggressive in August towards the end of the summer months. And that's kind of why they go away for the most part, go away in the fall and the winter. Okay, so we've learned a little bit there. Let's move on. Let's move forward. We've got another satellite image to look at. This is the visible satellite for the West Coast specifically. What's going on with the fog? Well, we've got a lot of wind along the coast. That's because, remember the low we drew up here? This guy? That low is creating a pressure gradient with this high, the high that's down here, right? I'm just roughing them in. So there's a pressure gradient, a difference. And so that difference is creating strong northwesterly winds. And the strong northwesterly winds are making it very difficult for fog to form. So the inversion exists, but barely. And you can see it getting, you can see the fog getting sheared off at Cape Mendocino. Look at the points, how they pick it up. Point Reyes, that's, what was this? This is Cape Mendocino, Point Arena, Point Reyes, and then Santa Cruz Point there, and then down to Point Conception. What you're seeing there is the wind just shearing the fog away. And it's getting kind of a little back eddy down here. See if I can move this. There's a little back eddy down here in Southern California. That should clear out today, but you can see a little rotation on that as well. Southern California eddy, which is very typical for this time of year, does promote fog. It can also help with the clearing too if it gets robust enough. This is the live camera from Mount Tamalpais, up over 2,300 feet. You see, it's going to be a warm day in Marin. It's not going to be as hot as yesterday. It's going to be cooler, but it's going to be warm. And then tomorrow will be the most pronounced cooling. We will look at the last 3 hours. Kind of shallow, deep marine layers. The marine layer, the truth is, the marine layer is the inversion is having a tough time existing. So you see it kind of getting ripped apart. And breezy up in the hills. You can see some breezy conditions in the trees. And we've got a day today that's going to be pretty stunning. Now, when I look at this map, this is the National Weather Service map. This is the National Weather Service, not the out of Monterey. And when you look at these, this is all heat. This is extreme heat warnings, heat advisories. Some red flag warnings are in here. Extreme heat warning, wind advisory here. This is big time stuff. And look at where the heat is. Look how many people are under heat domes over the next 24 hours, 36 hours. So out towards Nevada, multiple hazards today. This is the National Weather Service putting this stuff out. Red flag warning and heat advisories. That's like the worst. And that's picking up, let's see if we can open this up a little bit. That's picking up Austin, Eureka, Ruby Lake, Toscaro. Just missing Reno's out of it, but you get the idea. That's very, very, what's the word? Very, very hot, very, very dry. And then up here, we don't see these a lot. This is Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota. Out towards Iowa. Let's see what we got here. I think these are extreme heat watch. Yeah, and that's going to go extreme heat watch. Let's see what they're calling on that. Sorry to do this to you. Extreme heat watch. Evening effect from Saturday afternoon through Sunday. Remains in effect Saturday afternoon. So it's not going to start out there for a couple of days, but they're anticipating some extreme heat. So that's a lot of heat in that area. And then you can see the heat advisories in the orange. So just, it's summer, but this is all rugged stuff. I mean, you're getting into air quality issues, and especially as we go to the weekend for these folks, you're getting into air quality issues. You're getting into heat stroke issues. I don't know. Heat just freaks me out. Just, again, can't get away from it. These are the temperatures from today. And, 95 in Redding. Tomorrow, like I said, Redding goes 80 degrees. So they're going to lose 15 degrees. You can already see the cooling in here from this troughing offshore, right? From that low that we saw way up here. You can already see the cooling, certainly north of this line. Up in here, the cooling. The cooling tomorrow will extend further south, okay? So what's it all mean? Cooler weekend for the most part, for everybody, and a break from the extreme heat in the southwest, which has been down here. So this is tomorrow. This will be Friday. And we got Redding at 80 degrees. Wow, these are big drops, precipitous. And just the color difference. Look, Central Valley today, tomorrow. Down here, Vegas 103, it's down from 108. But I think this whole area will start to chill a little bit as well as we go into the next couple of days, obviously, because that low is now, instead of impacting these areas north, it's starting to impact down here, and it just rubs off, right? So this low pressure center that we've been seeing, that we've been looking at now for a couple of days, so most of this week is what we've been talking about. There it is, right there. And let's see what the model does with it. And you see its proximity to us, and you see the troughing. You see, so you see the jet stream right here. And the lows, the parent low is this. It's a little further north, but the jet stream's dipping down. And that parent low is what's driving the drop in the jet stream, okay? So as we go through time, you're going to see that low dig or amplify. And see, right, boom, boom, boom. So now we're into Saturday afternoon. Now we're into Sunday afternoon. Now we're into Monday afternoon, Tuesday afternoon. I know, right? So that's a really, when I look at this, this is short. This is through June 27th, 26th. We're kind of under this mild pattern. Now these areas will be down towards Phoenix. It'll still be hot. You'll still be in the 90s and low 100s, but the extreme heat should be squished because of that pattern, because of that low. So remember we started this by looking at this. That's the driver. That's driving this bad boy as we go through the next 2 weeks is the driver. And it could also have something to do, if it drops down here, I'm just this low, if it drops a little further south, it could actually grab some of this moisture off the Mexican dying hurricane and then push it this way. It drives everything because weather goes from west to east. This ridge, or pardon me, let's do this. So this trough deepens, this ridge amplifies. That's how they do it. That's how they do it. And then when it deepens enough, this low will undercut it. And then the jet stream starts all over again. If you've ever watched a river and how they meander, like if you're a fisherman, you know how rivers, like some rivers have big bends in them, like especially out in the plains, like the Owens River. That the jet stream works the same way. You've seen how the oxbows in a river. An oxbow is when I'll draw it in here. So, I don't know if I can do it. So you go like this. Here's the river bend. And the river gets flowing enough, it undercuts it and makes the river straighter. And then the speed of the river starts to cut the riverbank again and changes the formation. Jet stream. Very, very similar. Very, very similar to rivers. The way the sinusoidal was a word that came up yesterday that I had to be helped with. Okay, so these are the forecast highs. This is this morning. You see where we are? You see the red, you see the heat. So it's going to heat up because it's the afternoon. You see the heat. You see up in the north, this is this afternoon. Okay, now you see all these areas here, all along the coast. You see the onshore wind. You see cooler in Redding. You still see the heat impacting down here. But as we go into tomorrow afternoon, so here we go into Friday afternoon, you see the heat has been squished even further back, right? I mean, this is no duh stuff, but it's kind of fun to see the model going, yeah, so what's going on, man? Got the cooler trough up here, there it is, and it's pushing the high further towards the east, in short. Let's see what goes on the next day. So I think it starts to warm up again in the desert southwest. So here, yeah, it pushes. But look at California. That's manageable stuff all the way down to Bakersfield. This is Saturday afternoon. Very pleasant. The weekend looks pleasant. This is Sunday afternoon. Looks really pleasant, right? And so it all goes back to hello, me, right there. Okay, so sorry to be all school teachery, but sometimes, I was talking about this yesterday, sometimes when you like, I try and explain this, and when you actually see a good example, it makes it easier to see. Because weather it's like looking in a river and seeing all the eddies and swirls. Once you recognize the eddy, the most important eddy or rock in the stream that has the most, that low is the most important rock. And that's where it's sitting, and that's what's going to happen downstream. But anyway, I get all worked up when there's good examples of it because it's like, oh my God, nature's awesome. Fluid dynamics is awesome. Physics is awesome. It's all awesome. And when it comes together, you're just like, yeah, it does that all the time, but sometimes it's not easy to see. Okay, so 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. I don't usually do these, but it's fun because it does show kind of what we just talked about. So near normal temperatures overall for areas north of Point Conception. But look at this, our friends in Phoenix, our friends down in Tucson and down in Sedona. You guys are getting into some milder weather, and then nasty heat out here the next 6 to 10 days. We can look at rainfall, which it doesn't really impact us because we're Mediterranean climate, wet winter, dry summer. So we know, yeah, near normal, kind of dry, not a lot of, no, doesn't like much monsoonal moisture. This takes us through through June 28th, but this shows above normal. This is probably, I'm suspecting this is reacting to that Hurricane Eric down off the Mexican continent, off that area, and I imagine it's anticipating, which makes sense. It looked like that moisture was sort of headed that way. Whew. Puffins, right? Now we can just relax. We can just think about puffins. They, I think that's a mirror. You guys never got back with me on that, but I think that's a mirror. These aren't live because, doggone it, the puffins weren't showing up live. If I go live, it looks like this. I'm like, oh, that's bad puffin live casting there. Let's go, where are we at? We have puffins. Okay, we'll go check out the ocean. Steamer lane. Okay, so we did the weather, right? It's cooling. It's going to be awesome. This is a beautiful day. Look at that fog going away, man. Look where you live. Look where you live. Look where you live. Right? Sometimes I marvel when California gets for a while there, California was getting its butt kicked by everybody, just for whatever, but like politicians and whatever. But, and we are a little nutty, and we have earthquakes, fires, and behold. I mean, look at that. There's nowhere prettier in the world than not just that place, but California. And oh, I don't know, I'm going to drive 3 hours to the east and go check out Yosemite. Well, yeah, that'll work. Or maybe go north to Cape Mendocino, or maybe go south to Joshua Tree, or go up to the redwoods in the General Lee Grove, General Lee. Can't remember. Anyway, I'm going on. This is the swell, which is 2 to 4 today, pretty small. Tide is dropping, and we'll start to fill. Not a big tide swing today. No big changes in the surf. This is our friend Trussles. I want you getting used to it because in a couple of years we're going to be at the Olympics there, and it'll be interesting to see how they do that. But again, this place has had a swell. If you think about it, they're 2 to 4 again today. They've had swell. This is San Diego. They've had swell every day. It hasn't really been flat except once in like 2 months. I mean, they face exactly the right direction to get southern hemisphere swells. So, I mean, it's not unreal conditions today, but you're stoked. You're stoked if you're that guy. Yeah, it's good stuff. Okay, and then this is T Street or C Street or A Street. San Clemente. Which one is this, you guys? T Street. Yeah, hell yeah. I like this just because when I was a little kid growing up in Paradise, we had such a fascination with beach culture. We really did, because all of our, chips, right, and everything that we saw came from LA, right? TV shows and movies and stuff. And when you're a mountain kid, small town kid, you're just like, yeah, this is be awesome. And quite frankly, it is awesome. LA's awesome. One of the things I learned about LA, I'm kind of rambling today, huh? But we did the weather, and we're gonna pick up the air quality in a minute, and then I got one more thing to show you. Oh, live camera at Venice. But the thing about LA that I've learned, see these folks here? I don't know if you can see them. Yeah, you see them right here, these dudes playing ball, and there's a bunch of them, right? And then here's some more people. One of the things I learned, I have a bunch of awesome friends from Malibu and Santa Barbara and Laguna. They're really good at playing games, because I know it sounds weird, but like they're very good at beach volleyball, beach soccer, hacky sack, whatever, because they're used to having sort of this environment, the beach. We're at the beach. What do you want to do? Well, let's play a game. And they're very, at least this has been my experience. I mean it in a complimentary way as well, because they're very comfortable, just chillaxing, right? And Northern California, like you go to the river, you climb a rock, and then you get down to the rock, and then it was very kinetic, my existence as a kid. It wasn't just sitting on the beach. What do you want to do now? Well, let's play cards. It's a beautiful thing. We would be like, what do you want to do? Well, let's watch out for that rattlesnake. Watch out. We were doing weird, different stuff. But something like this that was, look at everybody's playing. Not only are they playing, these guys are surfing for free. I don't know. I always thought that was an interesting observation. There is no snow and you can correct me on that if you're from Southern California, but I think it's a really awesome trait to be able to play games. I'm not good at it. Like, I'm just not very good at it. Like, even just sitting down and reading a book, awesome. Used to be really good at that. I got to get better at it again. No snow, mountains closed, air quality. This will show up. I just want to show you. There's the United States. It'll fill in here in a minute, but I just want you to see. It looks pretty good, right? Even off the Canadian plate, there's not a lot. There's a lot of smoke up here earlier because of all the wildfires about 2 weeks ago, but the air quality much, much better. I'm kind of excited about this camera. And this goes back to what I was talking about with LA, Venice Beach. Look, everybody's doing cool stuff, walking the dog, very active. And Venice, of course, is another iconic spot. In Venice, maybe you don't sit and play a game. Maybe you do lots of other stuff, but I don't know. It's kind of awesome. I just remember Chips, right, when they're riding their bikes and busting people. Paunch. Looks like we got a little homeless thing going on here, maybe, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Fun day and just a fun. Oh, hello. Okay, we're gonna end on that. I could buy this. What is it? Tana Sutra. Oh, Hawaiian Tropic. Yeah. Okay, well, we're gonna. All right, you guys. I'll go back to that. All right, we will see you back here tomorrow. Thanks for indulging. Also, the LA Games thing, not meant to be a criticism. I think it's a compliment because I think it's like we just didn't have the time or the places that we could do that. Literally, you're looking over your shoulder. I mean, you'd be on the river swimming or something, up to Sabla, and you'd hear gunshots. When people hunting, shooting quail, or just shooting guns. I mean, it wasn't like this. This is awesome. Okay, I'll see you back here.